night before this day. Lord, help us to use this day and every day of our lives so that thy will be done and to live our Rotary motto of service and low self. We ask this in the Son's name. Amen. Amen. Thank you all. Have a seat. Wayne.
Good morning, Rotarians.
Good morning, Sergeant.
Okay, we do have a couple guests this morning, and Austin, would you be kind enough? You have a guest this morning?
No, sir.
All right. You do not?
No.
All right. Yeah, I know, but who is introducing our guest again? Roger?
Still a guest.
Do what?
He's just still a guest. So he has to be a Steve.
Introduce your guest.
Yes.
All right. Excuse Roger. Excuse me. All right.
I have as my guest Roger Irvin, who is our HR director at CVCC, and Ryan McQuarrie.
Okay, we have two. Yes, we have.
Now we walk in, and let me tell you, he's a heck of a guy.
Well, you came in
Yes, sir.
together.
Yes, sir. I was vetting him all the way up from the car. He passed every test.
Okay, you came in. Excuse us this time. So we'll handle it the next week.
We're not normally so lax.
Steve Hunt to handle it, so we do have our guest. Welcome to our club. Okay, a couple items need to cover this morning quickly. We've got a big program. Ron Leach.
Yes,
Security, how are we?
we're in good shape.
Okay.
Maybe this is a good opportunity to say congratulations to somebody that ran a great campaign.
Yes, sir. Okay. All right, good deal. Well, we'll hold it for ransom.
You hold it for ransom.
Yes, sir. Okay, another announcement. Okay, you have a guest.
Dude, you about to forget me, wasn't you?
Well, I thought we had to.
I think you owe it back.
I'm sorry. Okay, Richard, would you be kind enough to introduce your guest?
I will. My guest today is Charles Pickard. He works for me as a project manager. And the reason Charles is coming today is I know Steve was having that presentation today on Rotary. And Charles was in Rotaract at CVCC. Also was good friends of Steve and also Teresa Biggs. And so he wanted to come and see what all it was all about. And he may end up being one of those E-Rotarians, depending on who lets him off. Charles Pickard.
Thank you, Charles. Great, glad to have you.
Give me 5 minutes. Keep talking. Give me 5
All right, I've got it. Okay, I have Michael Williams not here, but there is a recognition for Michael, and his picture was in the paper. And Lynn Seymour. You have an announcement this morning, and it's a happy thought. We'll have to charge you $1, but it's worth. I'll probably pay yours. Would you give us a report about your grandson?
Everybody's going, how many times
That's
did I
right.
hear this morning? That's Friday night, he played West Iredale, and he rushed for 411 yards
Nice.
and scored 6 touchdowns.
Great. That is fantastic.
It was certainly a lot of fun to watch from a grandpa's point of view.
All right, I won't pay this for you. All right, you're covered. Happy thoughts. Good deal. You also had something dealt with Steiger, but he's not here. And I have an issue, 2 things before the club. And I'll let you think about this till the next time. All right. Bob Steiger, and I have done this for a number of years. I go by his house and I'll just tap the horn very gently as I leave, just as a note that Rotary is to take place. Okay, I've been very kind, very gentle. Okay, Wednesday of last week, I was out in the yard, I had a guy with me out there, and all hell broke loose. From the top, all the way in front of my house, a horn locked down, a truck, a black truck, so all the way across the front of my house, down the street, never stopped blowing. Now, the thing is, I have been very gentle and has not really created that much confusion, but he created a lot. So we'll have to think about this for the next time.
And there could have been somebody in the church at the altar praying, you know.
That's right. That's exactly right. Okay.
Gabriel.
Phil, you have something? Okay, 2 other announcements. This week, Friday, I am scheduled to leave for Paris. I'll be gone next week. And I have thought about this, and I've had Gavin and Phil
And
and
Kenny,
Kenny serve as sergeant at arms. And I thought I'd try to spread this around. And I've asked Bob Steiger, and I sent him a nice email, voicemail, and all this, and he didn't even show up this morning. So I'm not sure how that'll be handled, but I have asked him to handle the sergeant at arms. Now, here is the caveat. As of we leave Friday, we come back on November the 18th, on a Sunday. On the 17th, the French are protesting the tax that goes into effect, the gasoline tax, on the 17th. They are to ring all around Paris and block all the roads. Now, we don't
burn tires.
we don't know for sure if we will go now. This morning I sent urgent emails, and if you get there and try to get out the next day, it'll be chaos. I've never seen one of these that carries just one day. It'll spill over. So I may be here next week and have no idea. But anyway,
if they invite you to the Bastille, you're in trouble.
well, the Armistice, and this is dealing with Rotary. They have the 100th-year anniversary down the Champs-Élysées, and they have it at the Arc de Triomphe. And it's a big celebration. So that's all that's planned, the whole month of Paris. But anyway, I may be here next week. It looks now very doubtful if I go. Okay, that's all I have at this time. So, yes.
Just, you know, you were talking about Bob, and we all like to pick on Bob. We had breakfast Saturday morning, and I know all of his buddies won't tell this, but we were picking on him because he missed last Wednesday.
Yes, sir, I know.
Okay? He got up and he came here. He thought the meeting was here last Wednesday. He showed up and nobody was here. And he said,
Oh, all right.
That's another $1.
But you know what you did? You paid his fine.
I did. That's
But
true.
anyway, not knowing this, he paid his fine. So we'll have to probably assess that again. Rick?
Would you hold that magazine up again, please?
Yes, sir. Be glad to.
You all see the cover? You know what that represents?
Yes.
All right? This coming Sunday is November the 11th, the 11th day of the 11th month, 11th hour, 1918, the armistice was signed. That day was known as Armistice Day for a long time, before it was changed to Veterans Day. So please keep veterans in your thoughts, in your minds, when we have Veterans Day this Sunday. Thank you, Mike.
Okay.
Also,
It's all yours. Yes.
can I make mention that certainly everybody is invited to my ordination this coming Sunday at 4 o'clock at
Yes.
Christ Lutheran Church. All is well.
Good. We wish you the very best. We know we're proud of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One thing before I turn it over to you is that as far as the dance is concerned, have we, is there a committee for thank you to the people who gave us ads?
Usually Kenny sends that. He hasn't passed. Yeah, yeah.
Do we have, this is something I can do. I'm good at writing thank you letters.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to do it if I had the list and the names and what they did. I'd be happy to do that if Kenny's not available, since I wasn't able to be there.
And Glenn, I've got a check sitting in my desk drawer at school.
Right, the balance, or what the net is $3,069.15. That's the net at this moment, not including whatever check you have sitting on your.
It's for Tom Jeannie's $100.
So
I'm sorry, the net was what?
$3,069.15.
Better than
I thought you said $79.
No, $3,069.15
Wonderful.
is the net. All bills have been paid. Most checks have cleared. I've already checked that. I've got, anyway, I'll send around a financial and September report, but, so, if anything else comes in, I'll just add that and update it. But all the expenses are paid that have been presented to me at this moment, so I'm not aware of anybody have any outstanding, any kind of, okay, so.
As the saying goes, we're solving.
We're good, yeah. I mean, I can go ahead and send around, I guess I'll go that direction. That's the current printout as of last night, what we have in the bank. That's the September report. If you want to check that out, send it around, so. And then I'll have a report that's more formal for the dance, but that's our net.
Thank you. Would you send a text of the church name and address?
I will.
Thank you. Anything else before we turn it over to Steve? Yes, sir?
Richard, you are also a guest speaker at Conover, aren't you, on next Monday?
I am.
Veterans,
For Veterans Day.
Where's that at?
Claremont.
Claremont,
Fire
Claremont.
Department.
What time?
11.
Rick, are you aware of some other veterans that Elk's gonna do there?
The Elks is doing something, I don't,
Gonna
and,
do Sunday night, or, you know?
it is on Veterans Day, I think it is at 6 o'clock, I think. Tim Herndon is the speaker, he's a retired Marine Colonel pilot, he's part of our group, and Jim and I are in. There is something at Kingston Retirement Complex,
Breakfast Saturday, something.
breakfast out of the suitcase, I got that on my calendar. The one at Kingston is to honor the residents who live there who are veterans. And they got a special thing going that, because you have some World War II veterans, you got Korean veterans, Vietnam veterans, and they're gonna play the music that was popular during that era for each of the folks. So if you get a chance, it's open to the public.
Is Everett having something too? Everett Chevrolet?
They are, I didn't put it on my calendar, because I know I can't go to it, but it's a morning breakfast thing, but,
I'm thinking it's 14th Thursday.
It was some strange day, I couldn't go.
Go ahead.
Just a real quick note, you'll see on that report that we had a savings account's been closed out. The CD is on the report. See, that's the month we closed out. We had voted, remember, to move over the savings to the CD, so don't freak out. You'll see it's closed out, zero balance. The actual balance is noted on the report now, the 2.5%, right there, that's as of last night. So the money is still in our account, it's just moved from one to another. It'll be reflected in the October statement once that. Yes, I've already done that. I did the filing, is that about the filing?
Yeah.
I did that. I've got that card if you need to see it.
No,
but I've
no,
got
I
it.
just wanted to make sure.
Thank you. I did do that.
Okay. Anything else? Any other? I want to say, Jim, it's good to see you. We haven't seen you in a long time. Welcome back.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think this was your meeting. Well, my son's in from Colorado today, this week, and
Okay.
so we get a little reprieve now and then.
Anytime you can see us, it's a good thing, okay? Thank you very much for being here. Mr. Hunt, it's all yours, I believe?
Thank you. Let me first of
Actually,
all
this morning.
apologize to the club. I bought my laptop, I bought my own projector, and I bought everything, and it's not going to work. Okay? I learned a long time ago that, but it doesn't. However, we're going to go on. We're going to talk about orientation. We're going to talk about Rotary, and I'm going to ask some of my senior charter members to assist me as I move through this. I have a whole PowerPoint, and it just don't work. So, with that said, Rotary Club of Hickory Sunrise was chartered November 2000. And guys, when I think about that, it's pretty awesome. We've been in existence 18 years, and it was, how many of us, guys? 17, 18 of us who chartered?
Yeah.
How many charter members are still with us here? Yeah? Four? Awesome.
And Walter's kind of,
Yeah.
because he chartered, but they left us and they came back.
Yes, yes. And we're known as the little club that
Does big things.
does big things, and we do. We do a tremendous amount in the community. There's 1.3, I think those numbers, and somebody can help me with that. There's 1.3 million Rotarians across the country. I know it's reduced some in the past,
Still about
but
that.
one of the oldest clubs, one of the oldest civic organizations in the world. And if you belong to Hickory Sunrise Rotary, you're welcomed to any Rotary club in the world. And that's pretty awesome as well. I was your district, I was your president in 2004 and 5, and I went to an international conference in Chicago where Rotary started. And if you ever get an opportunity, please go, because it's an awesome experience. We're talking about our club. Obviously, we meet on Wednesday mornings here at Lenore at 7. Our club responsibilities, our programs, our club dues are $60 per quarter, right?
Yes.
And one of the things that we live by in Rotary is the 4-way test. And Ron, would you take just a few minutes and talk about the 4-way test?
Sure. Roger, you and Ryan have been here and heard us say this and say, well, what's that all about? Everybody gets up and repeats this thing. But we've always got it posted at our meetings. And this was what came out of the first few meetings that our 4 founders came up with in Chicago in 1905. And the meeting that Steve went to was the 100th anniversary of Rotary, back in Chicago where Rotary was started. And if you think about this, and if this is sort of like the Beatitudes of Rotary. If you think about this every time you have a relationship with somebody else, whether it's business, whether you're in education, or your family, then I think you're living a pretty good life. Is it the truth? Pretty simple there. You don't have much to think about when you think about whether something's the truth or not. So I think our club really holds that pretty strongly. Is it fair to all concerned? One thing I thought about when Steve asked me to do this and I looked up at our banner, I thought about the discussion we had a couple of weeks ago on those state amendments. And everybody was real concerned that we had a fair discussion on that. And I think that leads us back to when we think about, is it fair to all concerned? We've been very cautious in this club about political things and about other things that might create some conflict. So we've been very much to hold ourselves to that second element of the 4-way test. Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Again, pretty easy to understand what that means, and I think that certainly holds true for what we do throughout the community. And I think most of our events, whether it's the stand-up that Rick and Jim have both chaired, Rick still does, those kind of participation by our club, and certainly when you think about our event we have at Richard's Church in December, we're certainly building good friendships with the community and with others, and certainly we do that among ourselves. Will it be beneficial to all concerned? I think we always keep that in mind when we conduct our business and when we do our projects. And so I think this is sort of the basis of Rotary, and if we all keep this in mind in all of our activities, I think we're better off, Rotary's better off, and our community's better off.
Thank you, Ron. Good job. Yes?
Can I just add to that?
Absolutely.
When I did the Young Rotarian Student Council, both at China Grove Elementary and at Southwest, we would use that for meetings, and we always gave them the coin at their inductions. And even little kids get that, probably better than adults sometimes. But I've heard little kids, elementary age, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade kids, use that in conversations with their peers and say, well, that doesn't work with the 4-way test because that's not the truth. And you hear that come out of a kid's mouth, and you're like, yes, I just scored, you know?
Absolutely.
And so the purpose of that was to try to build future adult Rotarians, you know, interact kids and so forth when they got older. But I love that the 4-way test can apply to everything.
Yes.
Even little kids.
Yes.
So,
Thank you. And I wonder, I'll come right back to you, and I wonder, it says fair to all concerned, but every Wednesday we come in and give Richard $1. Okay, go ahead, sir, Mr. President.
Well, I wouldn't be so concerned with the $1 I give Richard. At least it's feeding the dog. The money you're giving Wayne feeds.
You don't know what it's feeding.
I think it goes to parents.
I think it's the parents. But the other thing that about our little, we adhere to the 4-way test, but in this club, we're not a traditional group of people. What we do is we want to make certain that it's fun, that we are not just grinding out, enduring each other. We want you to want to come. We want you to come here, and it's a fun thing for you to be a part of. Isn't that right?
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that right? Yeah.
Yes, and also, you know, there's all sorts of ways to be involved in Rotary. You know, they have the, help me,
You have fellowships, you have peace center activities. There are any number of individual directed areas of interest.
but I'm talking about actual clubs. They have satellite clubs.
Oh,
they
yes,
have-
E-clubs,
they have
satellite
E-clubs.
clubs.
But what I like about Rotary, and I've been a Rotarian now, I think this is my 26th year, is the fellowship. I've never been a big proponent of E-club because I don't get to see people and fellowship with people every morning. But I understand people in certain positions that E-club is good for them. They want to be a part of Rotary, and they want to live that Rotary theme, and which is service above self. And that's an opportunity for them to do that. We are known, we were known and continue to be known as the United Nations of Rotary. We've had people in our club from South Africa, help me Ron,
Pakistan.
from Pakistan, from
Bangladesh.
from Bangladesh, from Roadhis, from all over the country.
All kind of foreigners.
Absolutely, absolutely. And our mission here is to do good for others, and I think every heart sitting around this table believes in that, because they come every Wednesday morning prepared to do something good for others. The officers in our club, Mr. Donald Hicks is our current president. Mr. Glenn Roseman is our treasurer. Dr. Wayne Honeycutt is our sergeant of arms. And I think Wayne has been our sergeant of arms, if not since we started, a year or so after we started.
About 17 years.
Yeah. So 17 years Wayne has been
Secretary.
Yeah, Wayne has been our sergeant at arms and does a great job, as you guys see when you come in. He makes sure that we have fun. He charges us a lot from time to time, but it's all in fun.
We pay for the privilege.
And how do you describe Reinhardt?
Mr. Rotary.
I mean, you can't say secretary. He's a whole lot more than that, right? But
Mr. Rotary for our club.
absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes.
And Rick Van Dett, who has served as administration chair, if you will. And my role in the club is chair of the membership committee. That's sort of our club officers. Our year goes from when to when?
July 1.
July 1 to June 30. We have a changing of the guard on July 30. New officers come in, and we start this all over again.
June 30.
Pardon?
That's what he
What did I
said.
say?
July 30.
June 30. July 1 to June 30 is our physical year. And all the things that we do. And I go back to gosh, probably the first week or so of our club, we were doing the Face of a Child, which is where we send backpacks. Oh, let me back up. I don't do it justice. I'm going to ask Richard to talk just a minute about Face of a Child.
Oh, Face of a Child, yeah. When Face of a Child actually started at the Rotary Club at New Conover, because I was a member there. That's when it started. And when we chartered in 2000, one of the first things we did was the Face of a Child program. So that's been going on since the onset of our club. And basically what it is there's orphans in Moldova who the little Samaritan mission from Granite Falls is in charge of taking pictures at those orphanages, bringing those pictures back to the United States and distributing them out to not only the Rotary Club, but churches and those kind of things. And then we as a Rotary Club will take those pictures and then collect whatever it's a backpack or whether it's a bag or whatever that might be, clothing, toiletry stuff, maybe some toys, maybe a little bit of candy you're not supposed to put in there. But stuff you put in there, and then we take it, I take it usually back to Granite Falls, where they box it up in boxes for specific orphanages, and they ship it over to Odessa in the Ukraine, and then transport it from there to Moldova, Chisinau, Moldova. And then they take those boxes and take them to the orphanage and distribute them out to the kids, because it's got a picture on it and their name on it, and it's given to those kids. And we have an opportunity, Bob and I both, and G too, has had an opportunity to go there to Moldova and be able to give those backpacks to those particular kids. And what a wonderful thing to be able to do, to be able to see the faces of those children that don't have anything, and you're able to give them those backpacks.
Richard, say something about the living conditions.
Well, yeah, living conditions, yeah, when we went, it was really, really bad. We would go in the orphanages, and it was just concrete walls and maybe a light bulb hanging from maybe 10, 12 foot up, just a single light bulb. And the person that was showing us around one of the orphanages was on a little pallet that had wheels on it. He didn't have any legs, and he would do his arms like that and run us through the places and show us. And when you went into the rooms where they were all in full clothing, hats and all, and sitting around the stove. And usually the stove had a pot on it with water, and they had something inside that. And we had given them oranges at one time, and you had thought we'd given them $1,000 just an orange. And so it was deplorable, really. The living conditions were, and probably gotten much better now, because I think they've closed a lot of the orphanages now. And what they did was, when they closed the orphanages, they sent them out into the villages and the communities and said, "You guys got to take care of them." Basically, that's what they did.
They moved the age limit from 18 down to 16.
Yeah, and so they just pushed them out into the villages. So now the Little Samaritan Mission goes out into the villages to some of the families to see, what can we do to help you? And so that's what that's all about. So it's a great thing to do for our club as international. And if anybody got a chance to go to distribute those backpacks or those bags, it'll absolutely break your heart.
We don't think much about what we put in those backpacks in terms of value. I think what struck me was that backpack and the contents represent 1/3 of a teacher's annual salary.
There's all kinds of stories that'll break your heart about. I mean, it just is. And it's hard to talk about sometimes. But if I know we talked about it as a club, and we did one time was able to go send a couple people. But if we ever get a chance to, now that we've got some money, is help somebody, a couple people go to Moldova. It's much easier now to go there and to be able to distribute those backpacks. It'll be.
And I have to stop Richard there. Yes, and I concur with everything he's saying. I have to stop him there, because what usually starts to happen is they're not a dry in the place when he's talking.
So it's a wonderful thing that we do at our Rotary Club, more than you really know. But you do it, all of you do it, and you fill those backpacks up, because you just fill them up, stuff them.
Tie the shoes to the outside.
Yep.
Yes, and put the candy in the socks.
Yes. Not supposed to.
Because we're not supposed to do that.
Contraband.
But that's one of our international initiatives that we do in this club. And just to name a few things that we do, obviously we do
Blue buckets.
Right.
Yes, we do cart buckets. Cart buckets are for Alzheimer's research. And we put our change in there. Most of the time we're putting dollar bills in there to support that. And I don't know where we are with that. Do we have a representative from the cart?
I'm our cart chair.
Okay.
So the money that goes into the cart buckets goes to the Coins for Alzheimer's Research Trust. It was started by a club in South Carolina. Every bit of the money that goes in there goes for Alzheimer's research. The committee that handles that money that has now given out over $10 million total in research grants. Typically, it funds research programs that are not mainstream. They're either just trying to get started, or they're a little bit unusual. And And a number of the research grants that have been given out by the organization have gone on to mainstream research. Sadly, most Alzheimer's research has been dead ends. We get excited about some things and then it turns out to not be effective. It is still a terrible disease. Many of us around the table have been affected by it. And it continues to be the awful thing that happens to people as they age. Millions of people will be affected by this disease directly, and families around them, many more millions. So it's an important thing that we do. It's largely a southeastern U.S. thing. There are a few clubs scattered around the country out of the southeast that are participating in CART. I can't think of his name now. We have a fellow here in Catawba County that chairs the committee.
Bill Shillington.
Bill Shillington, thank you. And Bill's a great guy. So, yeah, spare change. It doesn't seem like much, but it adds up. Millions of dollars have gone out for research from that program.
If you show up with no change, I think it's allowable to put a dollar bill.
It absolutely is.
At last year's year-end conference, we got to meet one of the endowment fellows. His research team is on the forefront of finding an intermediary to stop the plaque buildup in the Alzheimer's scheme. He was very interesting, very exciting to hear.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and one of the reasons we've got the name that we're the little club that gets things done. That's just one of the things that we do. We do the what do we call it? The warming or the
Winter warm.
winter warm, where we fix peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and I tell you, Richard Tucker makes a mean peanut butter and jelly and ham and cheese, and we feed the community. They come in, and what's the numbers? Just roughly, a couple hundred people annually, and Rotarians are doing
And a bag of groceries.
Yeah, and we do the veteran stand down. Help me.
Rise Against Hunger.
Rise Against Hunger, where
Polio,
we feed people in third world countries. Polio,
Eradication.
polio eradication. We ring the bell for Salvation Army.
Wheelchair donations.
Scholarships to CVCC.
We do $5,000 scholarship to CVCC annually to help those who otherwise wouldn't be able to go to school. I mean, as you can see, we do a whole lot of stuff in the community, and it's just us. So I use this phrase a lot. We're Rotarians. We're not just a Rotary Club. And when I say that, what I mean is a Rotary Club writes checks. Rotarians roll up their sleeves and get it done and write checks. And we do that. And we've done that since the day we chartered 18 years ago. And
something in your history that we had, in our history that you haven't mentioned is, it's kind of like being adopted. This club is made up of former club members. There are 5 clubs in the immediate county area, and these charter members affiliated by fellowship to create this club, and that's why we're here.
yes.
Except for me.
Except for you.
I was not in a club, I was coerced.
Guy held a gun to your head, right?
And he had his hand on the pistol, on the handle of the gun.
Whoever that could have been.
Who was that?
I don't know.
When he put his arm around me with his left hand and put his right hand on his pistol, said, you want to join the club, right?
You knew you were in.
You see how easy that was?
I can see it now. I know it was a black 9mm.
And maybe that's why I can't get as many people in. Since I retired, I don't have that gun to meet them. Rotary has a theme every month. Mr. Sergeant Arms, are you familiar with the themes?
It varies by month. It depends. Like membership month is one.
Literacy.
Yes, each month has a.
And this is Foundation Month.
Vocational.
Foundation month. So,
Vocational.
yeah.
Foundation month.
Sergeant and Arms month is really nice.
Yeah.
And every one of our members in this club are Paul Harris Fellows. Just a brief history. Paul Harris was one of the founders of Rotary in 1905. He and some of his business associates. And in order to be a Paul Harris Fellow, there's a financial obligation of $1,000, and it goes to the foundation to do some of the things that we talk about in third world countries: help with water, help with whatever it is they need.
Microloans.
And the foundation is, Ron, you're our foundation. Do you have any idea as to the budget of the foundation?
I don't off the top
Okay,
of my
that's
head,
all
but
right.
it's many millions of dollars. And
Yes.
the foundation was formed by Rotary, I think in about 1917, is a vehicle. It's really the working arm of Rotary. It's their sort of subdivision of the main Rotary that distributes the money around the world and supports projects in probably at least 50 or 75 countries every year. And so it's a very, it's probably, as far as nonprofit organizations go, civic clubs is probably the largest foundation dollar-wise in the country.
Yeah. And I am a Paul Harris Fellow, and again, everybody in the club are Paul Harris Fellows. Again, which sort of speaks to the whole commitment of Rotary. Okay. Yes, sir.
Might point out that $25 per quarter of our dues goes to the foundation. So
Yes.
that's $60 that we pay for dues. 25 of that goes to the foundation.
Absolutely. Do you guys have any questions, especially the two new guys?
Another thing to add is you can name Rotary and the foundation in your will
Yes.
and donate through eternal giving to the foundation. I'm trying to pull up the annual report to get the budget.
Okay. Any questions, Ryan or Roger?
The foundation just got recognized by a charity watchdog as #1 in the country for ethics.
Is
And
it country or world?
well, actually, they said the country, but it is the world.
Okay.
But I forgot it was 97 cents of every dollar goes to the intended focus.
Wow.
3 cents goes to administration.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Yes, sir, Rob.
What are y'all's perspectives, I guess, on partnerships or working with other organizations? Kind of what has been your kind of process that you go through to kind of determine? I know you 4-way tests, but just as far as partnerships and different things you've done in the past, I guess.
Collaborations, you mean?
Right.
Yeah. Rick or Ron, you want to speak to that? Or Mr. President, you want? Some collaborations we've done.
I can speak to it a bit. Since becoming a part of this particular club, I have members here who regularly volunteer to be a part of Classroom Connections. There are members here who are part of the Soup Kitchen. The club supports both of those organizations, and we are members here. But, you know, as you heard, the club supports a lot of other organizations. The
Veteran Stand
Down that Rick is the chair, I bet there's 50 organizations that we come alongside and we do our little part. And so,
These are the for volunteers and veterans stand up.
and even over here at Bob's church, where the winter warm, we're giving soup and sandwiches, somebody else is giving clothes and shelter and other things. And so we come alongside our organization without a problem. We like doing that. It multiplies what that is.
Right.
We're also collaborating with the other Rotary clubs in the area on a project for next year of polio recognition. Our Rotary International is really big on eradicating polio throughout the world. And Hickory just happens to be the home of the Miracle of Hickory, where polio was not necessarily eradicated, but 97% success rate of the children who went through the hospital here. And the 75th anniversary of that is coming up next year. So sort of making a local as well as international combining together. And I'm on the committee there to work on that, but clubs are collaborating with each other in that regard too.
I think we also, don't we, Bob, on different Rotary clubs help with
St. Albans hunger.
St. Albans, when we fill those bags.
Yeah, that's right, that's right.
Feed the needy, right?
Yeah.
And we make a significant donation to that event, financial
Yes.
donation.
That's a great organization. And it's just such a simple idea. People turn out.
We do about
Bag.
30 to 50,000 meals a session.
And they do literally thousands. I think 5,000 is what they did last time when I was there.
30,000
30,000? No,
meals, 30,000 meals.
30,000.
at St. Albans.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's
It was a lot.
It's a lot, yeah.
Every time you hear that going, it's 1,000 meals.
So that's just a snapshot of what it is we do. And we do it with such enthusiasm. And we've done everything, and I'll get to you in a minute, Ron. We've done everything from cooking chickens and serving chicken and dumplings to our most recent is our dances. But we've sold roses, we've sold fruit, I mean, you name it, we've done it. But I think we found our niche, and maybe looking at other things as well. Yes, sir, Ron.
I was just going to mention, I think it was mentioned earlier, just briefly, but we also participate in the Salvation Army kettle, ringing at the kettles, and that will be Saturday, December the 1st. So I will start a list around next week so we can start signing up for times for that. I think our first time will be like 9. And we're at, I think the Walmart merchandise door, which is probably the #1 collection door in the county. So we've got a great opportunity there, and we've done very well every year. So I'll start that list around next week to sign up for the bell ring.
And that winter warmth that we talked about for feeding the needy at our church is going to happen either the 3rd or 4th Saturday in January. In January.
And I've been watching several of those Salvation Army kettles, and some folks have got some pretty innovative ways of getting people to put money in there, and dancing is one of them. So I thought we would ask Richard to sort of be our Rotary representative and come out there and do a dance. Have any of you guys seen those? So yeah, just go out there and look at some. Am I running close on time?
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Financial, and this is as of June 30, 2018, total liabilities and net assets, $1,424,406 for the Rotary Foundation.
Okay.
Say it again.
$1,424,406.
Don't sound like much.
That was the revenue for the year.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
total liabilities
Okay.
and net assets.
Okay. All right.
Well, I think that talks about how much they give back out too, though.
Yeah.
They don't sit on it.
Right. Which is a
Doesn't
bunch.
sound right about that.
Yes. I've been club president, and I've also been assistant governor for District 7670. You had your hand.
Just whenever you're done, I
Go ahead.
want to give a brief explanation about the finances, because this is the greatest job you can ever have in Rotary, so I'm just saying. It's awesome, so, I mean, wonderful time, you'll enjoy it.
Pastor. Now, you notice I'm using pastor, and we look to the 4-way test. Is it the truth?
You guys got to see what I like to do is, at least at each assembly, which an assembly is sort of a business meeting that occurs about once a month, right? And as needed, provide the club with a report which would explain a month's income and outgo with attached documents. Then also, I like to send around the actual, this is what we have in the bank, okay? So that way you know to the last minute, this is what's actually in the bank. And so you'll get an invoice. You'll learn to probably loathe me because I'm the guy that always seems to be asking for money. But an invoice for the 60, and I think they explain that 60, foundation, international, district dues, okay, the magazine. I might be missing something. So that's where, when you pay your 60, then that's where that money goes. The cart, we have a budget, and I think you maybe mentioned we have a budget meeting once a year, so we kind of discuss how we want monies some things are kind of built in, but the CART, we allocated $500, so I send quarterly payments to CART. Full disclosure, basically, okay, it's very important, so to the point where it's probably fanatical, but that's just the way. So pardon me if I get, you know, too about it, because it's important that we know what we have. And the accountant, by the way, we do a compilation review every year by a local accountant. And I will have a report soon, I hope. She has all the documents for last year. She goes through and reviews them, issues a report, which I give to the club on the financials for the preceding year, so that way there's a third party reviewing the book. So as far as the money part goes, if you ever have a question about something, about money or disbursement, or just ask me, but I'll try to make sure folks know about that. So.
And Glenn has been our treasurer for
I don't know, 2 years maybe.
2 or 3 years, and done a phenomenal job for us.
But it's the greatest job you can ever have, isn't the truth? Y'all look like competent, capable, conscientious.
Yes.
This is in thousands of US dollars. So that would make it $1,424,000,000.
Now,
Because if
okay.
you multiply that times
Yeah.
1,000, then it turns it into $1 billion.
That sounds better.
Okay.
Yeah.
They also have $3 billion invested in securities.
And always, guys, if you want to eat, the cafeteria opens, Wayne, at 7.
Yes.
Okay, so it's sort of a challenge now because we're in this room and they've got a class going. But hopefully at some point we'll get back to where we'll meet at like 7:15. You get here at 7, get your meal, and get back in. Yes.
The thing that's so appealing about, one of the things so appealing about this club is you get to know your fellow Rotarians because you're boots on the ground. If you were at just this Halloween dance a couple nights ago, we had people there from the start till the doors closed, and we're working and not just, enjoying the show. They committed to being boots on the ground. We still got that.
Yeah.
Steve, I think it's worth mentioning too that a number of us in here were members of other Rotary clubs. By the way, I've been a Rotarian for 45 years now, so I'm in seven different clubs, and I can tell you, just from a financial standpoint, this is a pretty inexpensive way to be a Rotarian, just be a member of the club.
Absolutely.
Most of the other clubs in the area meet at lunchtime, country clubs, etc., and you're out $10 or $12 or more for a meal, plus their regular dues or more. And they a number of those larger clubs, the way they raise money is they said, all right, guys, you need to put $50 in the hat today. We're giving money to so-and-so. We try to avoid that in this club. Every once in a while, we'll do it for a special reason. But most of the time, that's why we have our dances. We do our contributions throughout the community by having our dances and working hard, putting that thing on.
Yes, and you notice Ron said 45 years, and he still has hair. And I've only got 25, and I have none. So
you know what? I don't have to come anymore. We've got a rule.
That's right.
You'll hear about that later. But I come because it's so much fun.
Absolutely.
It's fun to be in this group. And most of our guests that come, they always, when they're leaving, they say, boy, your club they've been to all the other Rotary clubs. They say, boy, I like coming to your club. Y'all have a lot of fun.
And we're going to always have fun.
That's what happened to me, because I came as to present the program, and I somehow never left. So
as long as we got Steiger and Richard to pick on, we'll have fun.
Yes, and Wayne to take our money. And again, let me apologize to you. I had a PowerPoint ready to go, and
You didn't need it.
Didn't need it.
no.
Great job.
Yeah.
I will send to both Roger and Ryan the program schedule. You're not on the program schedule, but at least you can see it. And if somebody can't get a program, or if you have a program you want to be responsible for, not to give the program necessarily, but have somebody come in and present a program, you'll see that. I will also send you a copy, and I may send it to everybody again if you don't have a copy, of our strategic plan. And we spent a lot of time working on that. We need to tweak it. It needs tweaking. We haven't done it for a while, but at least you will see the areas and the goals that we have set aside for our plan. So you'll be getting that soon.
So we're excited to have both of you guys. And where's our final piece in this, Reinhardt, as far as getting these guys inducted?
Oh, I'd
like for them to invite their wives and family.
I want to discuss that. We can do it with them here. I have Roger's application completed. Ryan started his online, but I've since given him a paper copy, and I'll get that back next week.
So Ryan is slacking, is that what you tell me?
No. I have to confess, filling out that doggone online form is not the easiest thing in the world.
Okay, all right, Ryan, I'll get off.
But with the information I've got, I'll go ahead and get Roger loaded into DAC-DB, and I'm going to put him up into Rotary.org, and I'll start Ryan, and I'll get, because I've got, why did you give me that stuff? Anyhow, I've got to get his particulars that I can put in there, and just give the code sheet, and we'll get them entered. I have their new member packets, but I would prefer not to give them their
stuff.
There are two pieces, the pin. I'd like to keep the pin for a formal induction and the membership. Name's gone. Anyhow, the certificate of membership.
Sure. Okay. Do we have, where's our directories? I bought them and gave them to somebody. The ones we had made last year?
I've got one.
Given out.
They all were given out?
Yes.
As far as I know.
Okay.
That's not a problem. We can duplicate that with DAC-DB. I'll print out some little things.
Okay. But thank you guys for your time. I appreciate it.
The things we think.
Ho. Ryan. Yes. Thank you for your program.
Okay. The things we think,
say and do.
Is it the truth?
Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
And
Lynn, did you get from me?
Yes, I did.
I thought you had. Okay.
Yes, sir. He's having.
No, I have to get into my
Hope we didn't scare anybody.
Ryan, you ready out?
Gotcha.
Okay.
Problem is, I'm wet, you know, and,
Thanks for having us last week.
you got grass sitting out like I do. The leaves laying on top of that grass seed, it's not gonna make sun, so.
Who sends out the minutes? Does Rick still send them?
All right.
Steve,
Yo.
I gave him a copy of the club brochure. I gave him a copy of 20 reasons to join Rotary. I gave him a copy of
That's about what I'm doing.
focus on.
I got my cross the street neighbor, we're gonna let me after
We need to get some more directories printed, sounds like. I got your back,
Hey, Gene.
Okay, well then, so you're on
That's 20 years younger than I
Well, I told him, I sent out a message. I saw a lot of things positive.
All right, see y'all over there.